All right, West Bengal's first budget under the new BJP-led government headed by Suvendu Sarkar represents a 4.39 lakh crore roadmap focused on growth, jobs, welfare and infrastructure, while also flagging fiscal stress and debt management as key challenges. A major push has been made on employment, including allocation of rupees 14,000 crore under a job-linked scheme and a plan to create 1 lakh government jobs with 33% reservation for women. State employees will also receive a 20% DA hike, taking the total DNS allowance to 38%. On the development side, the biggest budget outline expansion plans include 5 new districts, along with major investments in education and healthcare, such as 4 new medical colleges. Industrial growth has been prioritized with a proposed semi-conductor unit in Durgapur and an industry incentive package worth rupees 5,000 crore. Infrastructure and connectivity projects also feature prominently, including rupees 900 crore for an elevated corridor and proposals for new aviation infrastructure, including a second airport and multiple airfields to boost regional connectivity. A single window clearance system for projects above rupees 100 crores aims to speed up investment approvals. On the welfare front, the government has expanded support measures for women and vulnerable groups through direct benefit schemes, financial assistance and improved public service access, including housing, education, support and safety-related initiatives. Overall, the budget signals a mix of large-scale investment, welfare expansion and administrative reforms, while attempting to balance growth ambitions with fiscal discipline. Let's talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Sebal Biswas, financial expert, Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, also with us on the show, and Mr. Himanshu Bhatt, senior journalist, joins us on the program as well. Mr. Himanshu Bhatt, I'll begin with you, sir. Well, how important is this facelift for West Bengal, considering the fact that the people of Bengal chose to have a new government because it was not only anti-incumbency, but it was very well known that unemployment and infrastructure delays as well as infrastructure apathy was a big problem in West Bengal. How is this budget amplifying that ambition that the Bharatiya Janata Party has always had for a state which has eluded them for the longest time but now is theirs to keep?
Vinit, actually, this was very much needed for the West Bengal to come on equal terms with the other states of this country. In so many of the BJP ruled states, the central schemes which are being given to the people will now again be given to the people, like Ayushman or healthcare things and the Sakhi Mandals which run and Nari Shakti being propped up. Now these are the things, these are the basic benefits that a citizen must get, which comes through center. Now it was not happening in West Bengal for quite some time. So the first things first, those schemes when implemented, aided by this state budget of a BJP government for the first time in the history of West Bengal, will go a long way in 5 years of, changing the face of West Bengal to a progressive state. See, it's something like this. I look at it that way, that, when you have a couple of districts being earmarked, or places like Sundarban and other places being earmarked for a soft tourism spot. Similarly, when you have an elevated corridor in a district, you have a deep sea port in the Purva Madina port. Now, these are all employment generating things. Along with the government jobs, the additional government jobs, 1 lakh jobs which are announced, these things will go a long way. It will instill a confidence in an investor to come back to West Bengal and invest. Because we have seen, after Singur and after Tata left, no bigger industry of note has ever ventured into West Bengal to make money. Now here, the people are crying of unemployment on one side. On the other side, you have a system which was not employing the government for government jobs also. The government was not employing people. See, 1 lakh vacancies on a first budget, when Swapan Das Gupta comes up and says that we'll hire 1 lakh people, will increase their DNS allowance by 20% straight. Now what does it mean? It says that in last few years people were not given their dues. So they have been actually, this first budget reflects, bringing West Bengal on par, as I said, with the other states of the country, like Gujarat or Maharashtra, Rajasthan, where BJP governments have been functioning well, relatively better. Now in such a situation, when you have a trifold push, on one side you try and develop infrastructure, on the other side you do welfare schemes, or on the third side you go with the healthcare things. What happens is it puts a tremendous pressure on the exchequer of the state government. Yes, center will give whatever help is needed, but then you have to have a couple of big ticket projects. One of which is announced, this deep seaport in Purva Madinapur. Similarly, smaller welfare measures for the common man also needs to be taken. Unemployed youth getting something is one thing. That's an electioneering gimmick. I put it that way. But what happens is if it continues for 3 years or 4 years, now what the amount of consistency this BJP government shows there in West Bengal is going to go a long way in determining how West Bengal will come out of the financial rot that it has come in with. I look at it that way.
Okay. Let me get in a perspective from Gautam Mukherjee as well. Gautam, what do you make of this budget?
Well, I think it's a bold effort to one, assure people that the welfare measures will continue. There were government officials on the rolls who were not being paid their salaries, let alone dearness allowance and the like. Now, all that has been set to rest. A lakh of people will be employed, a third of them will be women. 12 or 10 jute factories have been restarted that employs 20,000 people. It's announced and hopefully will be operational soon. Amul is setting up a curd factory, which is a greenfield effort, and Amul is a very well-known company that is coming into West Bengal. There are various moves to bring in more Adani, Ambani, Tata enterprises into West Bengal, in addition to smaller, more diversified manufacturing units. The 4 new medical colleges, another IIT, another IIM. They're pretty much firing on all cylinders. Having said that, they have 8.15 lakh crore in debt. Now this needs some kind of moratorium, a holiday from, you see what's happening is between the salaries and expenses which are committed and the 20% of the local revenue that goes towards paying this debt, there's nothing left for development. So all development has to come from the center. I think the budget, like the central budget, is an indicator as much as possible to right the wrongs to the extent possible within the scope of the state government. But a lot more has to happen outside of the budget. I believe a few $1 billion borrowed from the from the World Bank and IMF, which gives you money at very low rates of interest and a very long repayment period, needs to be pumped into West Bengal in order to bring this up to par ASAP. It is 50 years behind the rest of the country. 50 years of other people ruling it has taken it 50 years behind. And to bring it up to par, you have to do things on multiple footing and as fast as possible. I also believe, as I've said several times, Garden Reach is being expanded. It has been designated a Navratna, I think just yesterday, when the Prime Minister went there to inaugurate 3 new ships. Quite apart from the naval ships, I think more by way of civilian ships, tankers and the like, as well as commercial ships will have to be built there. The deep sea port has already been announced. But some of these are long gestation, and some of them will generate immediate employment, and a combination of all of that is necessary. If you have large infrastructure projects, obviously a lot of people will be employed in them. Larsen and Toubro has also been sought to be brought into the state by Suvendu Adhikari. So a lot is on the cards, but it really needs to be done on war footing. Apart from that, it's important to mention the Chicken Neck area. The border is being fenced. There is an underground railway network being developed. There is a lot of military equipment and bases in the area, including in Siliguri. Connectivity with the northeast, that needs to be strengthened, and the demographics of the area have to be watched. There's a lot being done to send back the Bangladeshis. This must continue relentlessly. Beneath.
All right. Mr. Biswas, your observations of this budget, avenues being left for infrastructure development as well. A new airport in the reckoning. What do you think, sir?
Firstly, I must say that after many, many years, we're looking at the West Bengal budget so keenly. We've been looking at the union budget, but West Bengal budget has been largely, is a pass-by. But this is after many years that we're looking at this very closely, because after a long regime of single sarkar, there is a time for double sarkar. And this engine should actually roll on. So what was happening in West Bengal was that most of the talk that we hear, that industry talks, etc., were happening, but hardly there was any infrastructure development that was getting pushed. The metros of the world, the roadways of the world, the bridges of the world, the Ghatal master plan, etc., all were talked about, but all in the racks. And the last government was not really keen enough to push their agenda through so that the development could happen. I think if you need a public and a private sector participation in this part of the world, you need to create infrastructure. And you need to create infrastructure really well. Because if you don't create infrastructure, you don't create roads, you don't create the connectivity, you don't expect private industry to put money and capital into your state. So I think it is in the right direction that a lot of stress has been put to infrastructure. Few other things have also been put to rest in the sense that demands of DA, etc., which actually creates the workforce to be not so agile, not so motivated to do their work, and those things have been to a certain extent put to rest. And Gautam's point that he's making, and I fully agree with him, that where is all this money going to come from? Because there is a large amount of loan that is already perched on our heads. I think there has to be some easy credit provided, because it takes a couple of years after these kind of periods. There needs a couple of years where you have to settle everything before you become positive, because deficit will remain and the loans will remain until the taxes go up, until more industries come into the picture, there is more participation, etc. So I think cheaper credit must be made available to West Bengal, and I think in terms of demographics, we are very well positioned to make the right moves in the right direction.
All right, fair enough,
so
sir.
Infrastructure is a very good, important step forward for them.
All right, thank you so much for your inputs, and would like to thank all the other guests for joining in.